The race to evacuate thousands of British nationals in Sudan. On their way to rescue the stranded, the clock is ticking for the British military, attempting to get people out safely. As the government warns, the situation is anything but straightforward.
We want to maximise the number of British nationals that we help, but this does remain an unpredictable and dangerous circumstance.
Also this lunchtime, the sensational claims at the High Court as Prince Harry takes on the press.
This is not a time to be complacent. That's why I'm running for re-election.
Biden's bid for re-election already 80. He confirms he'll run again next year. The hosepipe ban extended in Devon and could last until December unless there is record-breaking rainfall. Plus,
It's the last couple. Hey, come on. But this song is...
Adele gets behind the wheel for James Corden's final and emotional carpool karaoke.
This is the ITV Lunchtime News with Lucrezia Millarini.
Good afternoon. The UK government says urgent rescue efforts are underway to extract thousands of British nationals trapped in Sudan. It's as warring factions have agreed to a 72-hour ceasefire following days of intense fighting in and around the capital, Khartoum. It's understood RAF planes, as well as the British military, will be deployed to help with the rescue effort. But for worried families here in the UK, the very real fear that time is already running out. Our political correspondent, Romilly Weeks, on the rescue mission.
Dawn in Cyprus and over 1,000 British troops are briefed and readying for their rescue mission to Sudan. Flying out in a Hercules aircraft that should be returning with some of the thousands of British nationals stranded in the middle of the escalating violence. A 72-hour ceasefire agreed between the warring sides has given the British government the window to initiate an evacuation plan.
We are prioritising calling forward the most vulnerable, the young, the old, those who are unwell or who are injured, and we will make contact with them directly. As I say, we want to maintain this ceasefire as long as possible. We want to maximise the number of British nationals that we help, but this does remain an unpredictable and dangerous circumstance.
In the Sudanese capital, Khartoum, the ceasefire has given residents a chance to emerge in search of food amid street after street of bombed-out buildings. The Foreign Office is telling Britons that once contacted, they must make their own way to an airbase outside the capital for evacuation.
Yesterday we had shooting at night time. Also today they had shooting. They're not sticking to the ceasefire at all.
But this British mother, Iman Ahmed, trying to escape with her 3 young children, says near her apartment there is still shooting.
We're taking a big risk to get to the location, but we have to try because we're running out of food here, no electricity. We're also running out of water, so we're going to have to take the risk, and we're going to try to go.
450 people are reported to have been killed in the fighting already as the country slides towards civil war. The government will convene another emergency Cobra meeting this afternoon as the military races to get all those to safety they can before the ceasefire really breaks. Romilly Weeks, ITV News.
Well, the British evacuation will take place from the Sudanese capital of Khartoum. All UK passport holders will be allowed on the flights. Priority will be given to vulnerable people, including families with children or elderly relatives, or those with medical conditions. It's thought there are around 1,400 British military personnel involved in the operation, which will use RAF planes such as the C-130 Hercules, similar aircraft used to evacuate British diplomats at the weekend. They will take the evacuees to an airport in Cyprus before being brought to the UK. Well, the scale of the evacuation effort is immense. Foreign governments are scrambling to fly their nationals out safely from Sudan to countries including Djibouti on the nearby Horn of Africa. Our international affairs editor, Raghi Omar, is there for us. And Raghi, what are the hopes there for this evacuation plan?
Well, Lucrezia, I think the ceasefire, the 72-hour ceasefire, which began midnight last night, is critical to those efforts, especially as the Foreign Office is having to tell remaining Britons, which is estimated to number at 4,000, to make their own way to the main extraction point, which is, as I understand, a military airfield just outside of Khartoum, about 15 kilometres from where I presume those Brits who do make it there leave. Because if they weren't a ceasefire, they would have to cross multiple checkpoints by rival factions, and that would just be far, far too dangerous. So it's vital that this ceasefire maintains for that period. Beyond that, I mean, it's going to be a very, very difficult logistical exercise. I mean, the Italians have got all their civilians out, as I understand it. The French continue to do so. There was a plane load, a C-130 cargo military plane of Kenyans that arrived in Nairobi. So this is a frantic exercise in which it's not just Britain needing the facilities in Khartoum, but it's many other countries trying to do exactly the same thing for their own citizens, but also in the absence, of course, of British diplomats on the ground, which makes it an added difficulty.
All right, Maggie, in Djibouti, thank you. Let's move on to the day's other big story, and it's emerged that Prince William had previously been paid a very large sum of money by the owners of the Sun newspaper. The payment was made in 2020 to settle historical phone hacking claims. The details emerged through court papers submitted by his brother Harry in his own legal battle with the publishers of the Sun News Group newspapers. In those papers, Harry also claims the royal family had a secret agreement with the company to hold off bringing phone hacking claims on the promise they'd eventually be admitted or settled with an apology. Rebecca Barry has been at the hearing at the High Court for us today. And Rebecca, dramatic allegations made there today. Talk us through them.
Well, Prince Harry wasn't at court today, but his presence looms large in the British judicial system at the moment. This the latest in a series of cases he's bringing against British tabloids. He accuses The Sun and the News of the World of phone hacking, of blagging private information and paying private investigators to carry out those illegal acts. Prince Harry's witness statement is a highly emotive 31-page document which reveals the psychological trauma of these allegations. It's so long we're still working our way through it, to be honest, but some of the main points so far. Prince Harry, as you say, claims that there was a secret agreement between the royal family and News Group newspapers, that they would hold off bringing any claims on the promise that they would eventually be either admitted or settled with an apology. It's also emerged that Harry's brother, Prince William, brought a similar claim against News Group newspapers, having been told to hold off for many years, which NGN settled for a very large sum of money in 2020. Prince Harry says that he was summoned to Buckingham Palace and specifically told to drop the legal actions because they have an effect on all the family. Now, the timing of this is awkward to say the least. Prince Harry is due back in the UK next week for his dad's coronation. And then straight after that, there's another case against Mirror Group newspapers.
And Rebecca, outline Prince Harry's case against News Group newspapers for us.
Well, he claims that The Sun and the News of the World illegally obtained information, highly sensitive information about his late mother's state of mind and his welfare when he was just a child, just 10 years old. His witness statement describes it as disgusting, immoral and a complete abuse of power. He says it's grotesque and sadistic. He says that it proves that his mother wasn't paranoid. She, because of all this alleged unlawful activity that was going on, she became paranoid and didn't trust her protection officers. Prince Harry says that if she'd had them with her in August 1997, she'd probably still be alive today. This week is awkward once again for Rupert Murdoch because the court papers allege that senior NGN executives deliberately concealed wrongdoing, that they destroyed millions of incriminating emails. Newsgroup newspapers claim that this claim has been brought too late and are aiming to get it struck out. The judge will decide whether it goes to trial at a later date.
Rebecca at the High Court, thank you. Now, in the last few hours, Joe Biden has announced he will stand for re-election as US president next year.
This is not a time to be complacent. That's why I'm running for re-election.
On this new campaign video, he asked voters to let him finish the job. At 80, he's already the country's oldest ever president. If he were to win re-election, he would be 86 by the end of his second term. Well, our US correspondent Dan Rivers is in Washington for us this lunchtime. Dan, this isn't entirely unexpected, is it?
No, it's a sort of worst-kept secret in Washington in a way. We knew this was going to be released today. It had been heavily trailed. It's exactly what you expect, really, from an incumbent president running for a second term. Very slickly produced. It starts off on images of the attempted insurrection on January the 6th, really pitching his candidacy as protecting democracy, as safeguarding it from extreme forces on the right of the Republican Party. It even shows pictures of Donald Trump, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Ron DeSantis, really putting him in the frame against those right-wing candidates of the Republican Party. So no huge surprises. It does move on a little bit towards the end to talk about some of the issues, but it really doesn't focus on things like the economy, you know, perhaps as you'd expect. It focuses on what you could end up with if you don't vote for Joe Biden. I think most of the debate will soon move away from this, really. There's not really expected to be any opposition to him from within the Democrat Party. He is the incumbent president. Convention would dictate that he runs unopposed. The focus is likely to shift very quickly back to the race for the Republican candidacy. And of course, Donald Trump really is sucking all the oxygen out of the room. He is well ahead in the polls against Ron DeSantis and continues to dominate the headlines here in the US.
And Dan, how is Biden faring in the polls right now?
Well, I mean, his approval rating is not great. I think that the latest tracker put him at 54% of Americans disapproving of him against 41 approving of him. So, you know, he's got some way to go. Not massively behind, but could be better. I think most analysts will agree that what is critical going forward really is the economy and how inflation plays out in this country. It has had a real toll on people's standard of living here, and that may become a critical factor, along with some other social issues like abortion, as we go into 2024.
Right, Dan, in Washington, thank you. Still to come on the Lunchtime News. The crowning glory for the choristers, the Coronation Plus. James Corden's swan song with Adele. But first, it may sound hard to believe given the weather we've had, but if you live in parts of Devon from today, you won't be able to use a hosepipe to wash the car, clean the drive or water the plants when the sun eventually shines. South West Water has warned water levels across Devon and Cornwall remain under increasing pressure and is extending a hosepipe ban which could last until the end of the year. Layla Hayes has the story.
It may have been the wettest March in England and Wales for over 40 years, but now a hosepipe ban has come into force for most of Devon. It extends an initial ban that was introduced last summer and now affects almost 400,000 homes and includes the city of Plymouth and towns like Barnstaple and Torbay.
You think if we're going to get a hot summer, we've got to do it.
Well, considering it hasn't stopped raining for how long, it's a bit of a joke, really.
I know the reservoirs are lower than they were, but there still seems a lot in there.
At this reservoir in Devon, water levels are 30% below where they were this time last year, and water companies hope the hosepipe ban will replenish supplies.
We're doing our bit. We're investing £75 million in additional water sources. We need you to do your bit as well. Cut back that little bit by not using the hosepipe, and in that way help us to get through this summer.
Households could now be fined up to £1,000 for using a hose to wash cars or water gardens. But not everyone agrees that hosepipe bans are effective.
Hose pipes don't actually save that much water in the grand scheme of things. And when we're talking about water companies losing 10, 15, 20% of their water in leakage, you can see why people are saying, so I can't water my garden. What are you doing as the company to fix the leakage?
The ban will be in place until December, but could be lifted sooner if there's enough rain. Layla Hayes, ITV News.
From today, more than 8 million households across the UK will start receiving the first of 3 payments to help ease the cost of living crisis. In all, people on means-tested benefits will receive just over £900. Shihab Khan explains how much you could be getting and when.
The cost of living crisis has been impacting people up and down the country for months, and the government's latest support package is now kicking in. From the 25th of April, up to 8 million households across the UK will start getting money into their bank accounts. Those who are on means-tested benefits, such as universal credit or pension credit, will get 3 payments, and they could total £900 depending on your personal circumstances. The first £300 payment will be made between April 25th and May 17th. That'll be for most people on means-tested benefits. You'll get the money between the 2nd and the 9th of May if you're on tax credits and no other low-income benefits. The next 2 payments of roughly £300 each will come in autumn 2023 and spring 2024 for most people on benefits. It's all automatic, so if you're eligible, you'll get it and you don't need to apply. The scheme is countrywide, but estimates suggest London, the North West and the South East are the 3 regions in the UK which will have the most eligible households. It's one of a number of government interventions, but with inflation at roughly 10%, energy bills still very high, and the cost of living crisis impacting most aspects of people's lives, critics have repeatedly said that this intervention is just a drop in the ocean and more is needed.
Shihab Khan with the help available for some people. Now, there are just 11 days to go until the King and Queen Consort's coronation at Westminster Abbey, and there are many people who will make that day sing for Charles and Camilla, not least the choristers at the Abbey, who will be in full song. Warren Nettleford now on the preparations for their crowning moments.
It'll be exciting to sort of be part of history.
We've been working hard to rehearse all the music and get it prepared.
These are the young voices that will usher in this new Carolean era. With just days to go until the coronation ceremony, it's time to put the finishing touches on a performance that will be seen by billions and go down in history. These 12 boys from Westminster Abbey School will take part in the ceremony. With more than half of the service incorporating music, they'll all play a crucial role.
It's a bit scary probably because, so many people will be watching, but it'll be really cool, I think, and really exciting.
And I think a big part of it is trust, knowing that when you come in, you know that everyone else is going to come in and you're not going to be stuck there out on your own.
There's set to be one surprise though, a new composition by Andrew Lloyd Webber. We're not allowed to hear it yet, but it will debut at the coronation. The composer has received high praise from one of the choristers.
It's really amazing. He's actually a really good composer.
During the coronation service, they'll sing alongside choristers from Truro and Belfast. Warren Nettleford, ITV News.
And finally, more singing in a slightly less formal setting. James Corden has been joined by some of the world's best-known stars for a sing-along, often to their own songs, in the front seat of his car. Carpool karaoke was itself a huge hit with fans of The Late Late Show, hosted by Corden in the US for the last 8 years. Well, he's decided to come back to the UK, but not before his final swan song with his good mate, Adele, as Carrie Davis reports.
They're two of Britain's biggest showbiz exports. Adele and James Corden are also best friends. It's fitting then that the last ever carpool karaoke is a repeat of this most viewed ever edition. Corden has been on screen and stage professionally since he was 18, but his most loved character has to be the endlessly quotable Smithy from sitcom Gavin and Stacey.
With me, Estelle once said to me, cool down, don't act a fool.
From rapping on the streets of Essex to cruising round LA with the world's biggest stars.
Come on.
I'm not singing today. I was up all night.
Once he convinced Mariah Carey to sing, Corden's passenger side became a popular seat.
I remember when reminds me of the Muppets. I just gone to sing James loves you.
His drives have taken some unexpected turns.
Hey there.
He once picked up First Lady Michelle Obama. His US career has brought highs and lows. Last year, he apologised for inadvertently copying a Ricky Gervais joke and responded to accusations of rude behaviour by a restaurant owner.
I accept everybody's opinion. I also hate, as I said to the owner that day, that I've ever upset anybody, ever. It was never my intention.
After 8 years of the show, Corden says he's moving back to the UK to focus on his family.
I love you, and we have had the best times here.
And while he splits opinion, Adele, for one, will miss him. Carrie Davis, ITV News.
And that is it. Mary is here with the evening news at 6:30 from everyone on the Lunchtime team. Bye-bye. Have a great afternoon.